Hey, friend. Welcome back to another episode of the Soul Podcasting Podcast. And I'm so glad you're here, whether this is your very first time tuning in or you've been riding with me for years. I want you to know that this is the space for honest and real conversation about podcasting, about creativity, and also about showing up as your full self without losing your mind in the process. And I'm your host, Demetria Zinga. I've been podcasting for over 21 years, coaching podcasters since 2006, and I have seen so much evolve in this space, from the gear, the platforms, the strategies, audiences. Everything has shifted in podcasting, but nothing, and I do mean nothing, has shaken up the podcasting world quite like what we're sitting in the middle of right now in 2026 and beyond, beginning with somewhere around 2023, and that is AI, artificial intelligence. So today we're going deep on AI for podcasters and what's actually worth using, what I personally don't fully trust just yet, and how to think about all of this in a way that keeps your voice and your real voice, okay? Your real voice at the center of everything you create. So before we dive in, my friend, I want to take just a second and mention something that's really close to my heart. I do have a school community, SKOOL, and it's specifically for women podcasters of faith, and it is growing. It's very small and it's growing very slowly. And I'm okay with that, honestly, because I'd rather grow something real than something super fast just for the sake of it. So if you're a woman of faith who podcasts or who wants to podcast and you're looking for a community that gets it, I would love to have you join us. The link is waiting for you in the show notes. Come on in. The door is open. And now I'd love for you, wherever you are, if you are in a space where you can do this, I always invite you to grab your tea, your coffee, your sparkling water, whatever floats your boat today. And I want you to get comfortable because this is one of those episodes where we're going to sit with something big together. I like to imagine you across the room from me, sitting with me in your favorite cozy spot, like we're having one of those long, unhurried conversations where nobody's watching the clock. So take a breath and settle in and let yourself actually be here for this episode, because what I'm about to share with you, I believe it could genuinely change how you create. So let's get into it. So we're going to get into it, okay? But before I do, I have to just pause and say this out loud. So 20 years ago, when I started this podcast journey, I never, and I mean never, could have imagined that one day we would be sitting right here talking about using artificial intelligence to help us create and research and write and produce our shows and everything else that we're doing. If you're not a podcaster yet, you're probably using it for a lot of the things that you're doing in your business. And I talk mostly to entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, business owners on this podcast. But whatever you're doing with your business, you're probably integrating AI in some way, or maybe adapting it in some way. Maybe not, some of you might be at the 95% mark, some of you at 50%, some at 10%. Some have not adopted AI because of ethical reasons or reasons that they're personally concerned with, and that's okay. But a lot of us are using it, and AI is impacting us in some way, shape, or form, whether you're using it or not. 20 years ago, back in 2005 and 2006, I was figuring out how to compress audio files. Okay, I was figuring out what a waveform was compared to an MP3 format. I was learning what RSS codes even meant. What is that? Real simple syndication is what it stands for. And I was figuring that out. I was recording into whatever microphone I could afford and praying that it sounded decent enough for someone to actually listen to the show when I was done editing it. And now, you guys, now we have AI tools that can brainstorm with us, draft all of our scripts, summarize our entire body of work and even help us with the back-end business systems that keep our podcast running. We can create AI bots and agents, things that will help us to get it all done. And in some ways, it really has made things easier and faster and a lot more accessible. But in other ways, it has made things more nuanced, more complicated, more layered with questions about authenticity, ethics, mental health, and what it even means to be a creator anymore. So yeah, I didn't see this coming. I don't think any of us did. And I think that that's worth naming before we go any further with this episode. And the idea that I want to plant in your mind today, and I want you to hold on to this throughout the entire episode, it's that AI is not the threat to your podcast, but losing your voice to AI is. So I'll say that again because I want it to land with you. AI in and of itself is not necessarily the threat, but losing your voice to AI is the threat. Because what I'm watching happen in real time right now is podcasters, really good ones, passionate ones, podcasters with something genuinely important to say are picking up these tools and quietly and almost accidentally handing over the most irreplaceable thing that they have. And it's their presence and perspective. It's the person of who they are. And the content they're producing is clean and structured, but it's flat. It doesn't have soul. And my friend, that is the quiet crisis that we want to talk about today so that we can avoid it and keep our eye out for things like this. At the same time, I'm not here to tell you to avoid AI. I'm one of those that's all in on using it. I have family and friends who have decided that they will not use it, and that is their decision, and I respect it. I have decided, though, to use it in my own workflow every single week. It has given me back time. It has allowed me to be creative and use the energy that I have for creativity rather than structure and creating the actual content. So I have AI to help me with my content. These are things I didn't have before 2023. And in fact, I really didn't go ham on creating content with AI until somewhere closer to 2024. But I was testing it out, tinkling around with it in the latter half of 23 and found it to be useful. But definitely today, it's just so much smoother, so much faster, more convenient because it has really taken on a life of its own. As you know, the more we teach AI, the better it gets. And so, of course, over the past 3 years, things have gotten a lot better with artificial intelligence. But there is a difference between using AI with intention and using it instead of thinking through what you want to do before you integrate AI. And so today I want to show you that difference and how I'm actually doing it. So we're going to start with a little honest truth telling about where we are right now. We are living in an age of everything at once. Every week there's a new tool. There's a new platform. All the time there's new AI platforms that are coming on the scene. Everything is integrating AI. So there's always something new. There's going to be a new tutorial telling you that if you just automate this one more thing, that your podcast will finally blow up. Your content will finally land with your audience. And you're going to finally feel like you've got it all together. And if you're not careful, you can spend more time chasing those tools than actually doing the work. I see it all the time. I see podcasters paralyzed by options, overwhelmed by workflows they haven't even tried yet, comparing themselves to creators who seem to have this whole AI thing figured out, when really most of them are figuring it out right alongside you. So what I know after more than 2 decades in this space is that podcasters who build something lasting are not the ones with the most tools per se. They're actually the ones that have more clarity about where they're going, what they want to be doing, who they are, who they're serving, and what they believe in. And so I think the tension here is AI can help you move faster toward that clarity, or it can help you skip the clarity entirely and just produce more content. And so there's those two aspects of being on either side of artificial intelligence. And one of these leads to a podcast with longevity. The other side leads to burnout and just a feed full of episodes that don't sound like you anymore. So the question isn't whether to use AI. I think the question is, what kind of podcaster do you want to be while you're using it? Okay, so let's get practical here. And I'm going to walk you through my personal workflow because I think this is where it gets really useful. And I always want to show up on my podcast being authentic and showing you what I do so that, I'm real with you and you can see like how I do things. And that way, like maybe it inspires you in some way to figure out how to use these tools in a way that works for you as well. I want to be real with you. I don't want to talk about, performing efficiency and pretending I have some perfect system. I just want to show you what's actually working for me. So I need to say this before I go any further because it matters. I am not an AI expert. Okay. I'm going to say that clearly. I'm still figuring this out just like the rest of the world is. And there's no one alive right now who has AI completely mastered. Although I dare say there are some what I would consider industry experts in AI. And that said, we're all still in the middle of figuring out this game of AI, learning as it evolves. As AI is making mistakes and adjusting and recalibrating, so are we. And so I'm adopting AI because I want to achieve more and do it more quickly. I'm doing it with my eyes open because I've also had to be honest with myself about the ways that relying on AI can, if I'm not careful, start to affect my mental health. And I'm really concerned about that aspect of it. There's something that happens when you outsource your thinking too much. Even to a machine. You start to second guess your own instincts. You start to wonder if your ideas are good enough without all the extra polish. And you start to feel like maybe you're the limitation, that the tool is the solution and you're limiting things. And I think that's just a really dangerous place to live, especially for creatives. And so, yes, although I'm using AI, I'm hoping that I'm using it intentionally. And I'm also grateful for it. And I'm very careful not to let the speed and efficiency of it quietly chip away at my confidence or my own creativity or sense of self. I think that the cost of using AI is real, even if it doesn't show up right away. Okay, with all that said, here's my workflow and what it looks like. So my first tool that I use in my belt of AI tools is ChatGPT. And for me, that's just for thinking out loud. Really, it's the first place AI shows up in my process. It's the messy stage. And it's what tool that I first adopted when I was first learning about AI. So it's the brainstorming stage for me. It's, I have an idea, but I don't know what to do with it yet stage. That's where I go to ChatGPT just for thinking out loud. And I'll drop in a topic. I'll ask for some angles. I'll explore some different directions that the episode could go when I'm creating my episode ideas. And what I love about this is that it gets me unstuck really fast. I think of it like having a thinking partner who never gets tired or bored and doesn't judge you for half-baked ideas. But my non-negotiable is that I'm filtering everything it gives me through my own lived experience, my own theology, so to speak, my own perspective on what my audience actually needs from me. I'm not outsourcing my point of view, right? So whether it's this podcast or any of my other shows, like I have a specific ideology about what I'm trying to bring to the table and what my goal is, what my objectives are and what I actually believe in. And I try to use AI to expand my thinking and not to replace it entirely. Because the moment I just take what it gives me and run with it, that's the moment I start sounding like everybody else, and I don't want that. That's the whole reason I started a podcast called Soul Podcasting, is because I want to podcast from my soul and to share what is on my heart from my own perspective, and hoping that I'm encouraging you to do the same, to podcast soulfully, to share your story, your unique way with your own twist. And that's the one thing that I absolutely cannot afford to do, is to sound like everyone else. I have to be me. My second tool number 2, is Claude, and I use this for developing and structuring my idea. So this is where I do a lot of my writing and my structuring work, putting everything into one place. So once I have my core idea and a rough outline, which I've developed in ChatGPT, I'll bring that into Claude and start really developing it, because I trust Claude more for that. Whereas in the past, I would do everything in ChatGPT. Now I'm starting to lean more on Claude, and I might say, help me expand this, this section of my episode, or can you help me make this transition feel more natural? I want to feel more like a conversation. Can you help me adjust the tone? And I think that Claude is really good at doing that, because it gets me from that rough idea to a real draft a lot faster than I could on my own. Just the way Claude arranges the wording, it feels like working with a professional writing coach sometimes, or just someone who knows how to get into my brain and create the type of wording that I want and the type of way that I want to be conversational about it. So we don't want to use AI to replace our important business partners. I had a guest on this podcast just actually a few months ago, Emily Aborn, and we were talking about not allowing AI tools to replace the human and those support systems. So Emily, being a copywriter, like her job is essential to making sure that we stay in touch with our real humanity when we're trying to express ourselves. I do think that these tools can help us, and I'm definitely using them, but we don't want to completely outsource and replace those human touches and human elements. And hiring someone like Emily is the thing you need to be thinking about, as opposed to let me just go straight to AI, because there are things that AI still can't do yet, and it can't help you sound like yourself the way a trained ear, someone who's been a copywriter for years, can help you do. So I'm always going to throw that in there, because I just don't believe that we need to only be focusing on having AI be our one and everything. It shouldn't be the only thing that we turn to. So we want to make sure we have our human team, as opposed to only having a team of AI tools. But that said, if I am going to use Claude, what I do is I just copy and paste what it gives me, and I read it, I edit it for myself. I ask myself, does this sound like me? Does this sound like something I would actually say to a friend sitting across from me? Because I'm the one that has to look you in the eye, or, talk to you in your ear and say these words to you. And if they don't sound like me, I'm not going to use them, period. I'm just, if it doesn't sound like me, it's not going to work. And so those are the tools I'm using. And I have a third tool that I like a lot lately, and it's called NotebookLM. And I use it for staying rooted in my voice. This one has honestly been a game changer for me. NotebookLM by Google allows me to work directly from my own sources, my own content, my past episodes, my notes, my outlines, blog posts. So instead of pulling from the entire internet, which is what most AI tools are doing, this tool is pulling from me. That means I can see patterns in what I've already taught over the past 20 years. I can compare ideas across episodes, extract insights from my own body of work, build new content that's rooted in my own existing message. And this matters to me for two reasons, because number one, it reduces the hallucination problem you hear about with AI, right? You're always saying, oh no, like ChatGPT is hallucinating, it's making up stuff. And that can happen with AI. So because I'm not relying on random internet information with NotebookLM, I'm working from what I've already created and what I actually believe in. That gives me some sense of confidence that I know that there's less likely to be hallucinations. And secondly, it helps me to stay consistent and not drift. It helps me stay in my lane and build on what I've already built instead of reinventing myself every season. So I have this summary of things that I've been working on. It's a really beautiful tool, because what it does, it doesn't just give you text. It can generate audio summaries and visual breakdowns like slideshows and videos. And there's different ways of interacting with your content, and it can create presentations to give you a video and audio presentation of yourself, of your own content. And I've used it to kind of give me feedback on even my own thoughts. And like I'll write down a couple of things that I'm thinking about as I'm brainstorming through something, and then I'll ask it to show me a video of what I just brainstormed to analyze my own thought processes about that topic. And it is wild, you guys. It's crazy what it can do. Sometimes I'll take a whole body of my work and I'll listen back to it just in a brand new way. Like I created it one way, but then I loop it through NotebookLM and ask it to recreate, or not even recreate, just ask it a couple of questions and prompts based on my sources that I provided. Can you show me what I've been doing and how I can better what I'm doing, how I can make it better? What are some loopholes you see? What does it look like my through line is? What are my processes? How have I been looking at things? What are my perspectives based on what you've seen? And what can I do to improve, to grow, to change, to transition into this next era, this next stage of where I'm going. So it sparks new episode ideas, new frameworks, new language for things that I've been trying to say for years, and it just shows me through video form. Like it literally gives me a visual. I'm actually putting together a sample video that walks through how I use this in real time. When I'm ready, and when that's ready, I'm going to link to that in the show notes, so keep your eyes open for that. But that will probably happen a little later on, but I'm working on something that can be sort of a tutorial for how I'm doing it. Okay, real quick, I want to tell you about a tool that has changed how I run things behind the scenes of this podcast. And it connects directly to what we've been talking about because it's one of the ways I've actually used AI to streamline my workflow without losing the personal touch. And this is my sponsor plug, and it is called HoneyBook. I'm using it and I want to share this tool with you because it's helped me out so much. And the way it plays into my podcasting specifically is when someone wants to be a guest on the show, they don't just slide into my DMs and hope for the best. There's a whole back end process. There's an inquiry form, an onboarding questionnaire, there's scheduling, contracts, communications, all of it. HoneyBook is what makes that run smoothly without me having to babysit every single step of the way. It manages my client communication, it automates my workflows, and now they've added AI-powered features that make note-taking and follow-up even easier. So when I talk about using AI intentionally, HoneyBook is a perfect example of that for me. I'm not using it to replace the relationship. I'm using it to protect my time so that the relationship can be better and more focused and more present. So whether you're a coach or a podcaster or a creative CEO, if you're still running your backend manually, you're spending time you don't have on things the system could actually handle for you. I've added my referral link in the show notes where you can get 30% off. Head to share.honeybook.com/herbusiness. share.honeybook.com/herbusiness. And you will absolutely thank me for it later. All right, back to the show. I'm going to flip this whole idea of, what I've been talking about using AI for. And now I'm going to tell you what I don't use it for. Okay. I don't use AI to fully script my voice without editing. I don't use it to tell my personal stories. I don't use it to process my beliefs for me. And I don't use it to just trust everything that it gives me. Basically, I don't trust everything that it spits out to me. My gut check is if I read something it generates and my first thought is, this could be anybody. Well, that's my signal that I've leaned on it too much. It's my cue that I need to come back to myself and look deep within and ask myself to try again. Because your listeners are not following your podcast for efficient content. They can get that anywhere. Efficient content is a dime a dozen. And so they're coming to your podcast to follow you, to hear what you have to say. They want your quirks and the way you see the world, the way you pause, the way you tell a story that only you can. The stories only you can tell because you're the one who lived those stories, and AI can't give them that. So only you can do that. And that's always going to be the most powerful thing, I think, about podcasting, right? So podcasting is all about you and all about what you're trying to offer the world. And AI just can't replace that. It can help you, it can assist you, but it can't replace you. So I want to zoom out, all the way out for just a minute, because I think there's even a bigger picture we need to look at beyond the tools and the workflows and all the productivity hacks we've been talking about. I've been sitting with this question a lot lately, and it's what does it mean to create with integrity in an age of AI? Because I do think about the ethics of it, you guys. Like I am wrestling with it every single week that I'm using AI and adopting it, right? I think about accountability, what we're responsible for as a community, as a people, as a nation, as a world, when we let a machine help shape our message. I think about the environmental weight of these tools, which is real and mostly invisible to us, right? We're not paying attention to what's behind it all and how AI is happening, but there are things happening that, make me question the integrity of AI to begin with, to be perfectly honest. And I think about what it means for you as a person who's podcasting, maybe from a place of faith, or maybe from just a place of purpose and integrity, or a person who's podcasting from a business perspective, someone who really believes in what you're bringing to the world, to use these tools in a way that honors your values. And where I've landed for that, at least for now and in this season, is that AI is not neutral. It has impact. And I don't think the answer is to avoid it, because it's not going anywhere. But I also don't think the answer is to use it without thinking about it. It's the wrestling of what are we doing as a world with AI. The real work for us as creators, especially soul-led creators, is to stay awake, to stay woke inside of AI as we're using it. For those of us who have decided to adopt it and to use it, stay awake, keep asking questions. Ask, how am I using this? Why am I using this? Is this helping me create with more depth or just with more speed? Because in actuality, speed is not the goal. The goal, I believe, in podcasting is connection and impact and transformation. All those things still require that you show up as your full, honest human self. So I'm going to land this where I want it to land. And if you're listening to this and you feel a little bit overwhelmed by AI, that's completely okay. We're all feeling it right now. We're all feeling the intensity, the tension, the confusion even. You don't have to use every single tool, right? You don't have to master every platform, and you don't have to do this perfectly. Just start simple and stay involved in your own content and let AI support you should you choose to adopt AI. Don't let it define you. Use it to clear the path, but you have to walk the path. Use it to draft the map, but you have to know the territory. And you can use it to speed up the work, but you have to bring the soul. But the truth that will change no matter how many new tools get released in the next couple of years is that AI might help you move a lot faster, but your voice, your real, specific, lived-in, God-given voice is still the thing that makes people stop scrolling and start listening. It's still the thing that makes someone feel less alone at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday night, right? When they're listening to your podcast. Out of all the shows to listen to, they've chosen yours. It's the thing that builds a community. It changes minds. It shifts a life, and that's yours. That's what you need to protect and develop. Show up with that every single episode. And if this episode stirred something inside of you, and if it gave you a new way to think about how you're going to show up in your podcast, I want to make sure that you have what you need to keep going. So go ahead and grab my Soul Podcasting Blueprint. It's a free 23-page strategic guide that walks you through every essential from planning and production to promotion and growth, so you can build a podcast that truly reflects who you are and what you're here to do. It's no fluff. It's just a clear framework that I believe actually works. So you can download it at soulpodcasting.com/resources. Link is in the show notes. And if you want to go deeper and see the behind the scenes, hear more real talk, get some practical tips in action, come find me on YouTube. That link is also in the show notes. I would love to see you there. It's youtube.com/@DemetriaZinga. So you'll find me there. And also, again, if you're a woman of faith who podcasts or you're dreaming about podcasting, my school community has a seat with your name on it. It's growing really slowly, and I think that's kind of beautiful. So I think slow means intentional and real. Find the link in the show notes and come introduce yourself. All right, my friend, thank you for being here and for caring about your voice enough to think deeply about how exactly you use it. And I'll talk to you in the very next episode. See you then, and happy podcasting.